Become unshakable. 10. Truths that strengthen the soul. Stoicism. Have you ever felt on the edge of losing control while wearing a polite smile? Felt the weight of emotional exhaustion while pretending everything was fine so no one would see you crack? We've all stood in that dark, silent, confusing place, wondering if we can survive one more day, one more challenge, one more hard hit. But what if I told you there's a force inside you, one you may not even know exists, powerful enough to keep you standing on your worst days? Being unshakable doesn't mean becoming numb to the world, and it definitely doesn't mean you'll never feel pain, fear, or insecurity again. It means welcoming every feeling with courage and composure. It's staring down the storm and understanding you don't have to control the entire world, only your inner world. Once you do, no external crisis can rob you of your serenity or shake your spirit. Today I want to lead you on a deep journey of inner transformation. Together we'll uncover 10 core truths of Stoic philosophy, ancient yet strikingly modern principles that can steer you through any emotional hurricane. Thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca lived these truths. They endured crushing losses and still emerged stronger, wiser, and above all, calmer. These 10 truths aren't feel-good quotes. They are living practices, practical roads to a steadier, more resilient life. In this video, you'll learn how to tap the inner strength you suspect isn't there, and how to reshape your reaction to life's toughest blows. Along the way, you'll get a toolkit, concise reflections, quick exercises, and mindset shifts you can apply before the video ends. Consider it a field manual for the soul, helping you rebuild from the inside out, one deliberate thought at a time. Revisit these ideas whenever life pushes back, and notice how clarity replaces confusion. If you're tired of being tossed around by circumstances and you crave unshakable peace in the middle of chaos, stay with me till the end. This video might be the turning point you've been waiting for. Ready? Let's begin. Part 1. Look inside and discover your truth. Before you try to look strong for the world, you must be honest with yourself. Stoicism begins in silence, the intimate, courageous act of turning inward and facing who you really are, far from social masks, outside expectations, and the image you struggle to uphold. This is the foundation of everything: self-knowledge. Without it, any strength you build wobbles. Any tranquility you find stays fragile. No one becomes unshakable while running from their own reflection. Looking inward is demanding. Blaming others, chasing distractions, staying busy is easier. A Stoic does the opposite. He returns to his soul every day. Marcus Aurelius did so by writing. Epictetus, still in chains, sank into introspection. Seneca confronted the discomfort of his own conscience with courage. All three knew real power is born when you meet yourself with brutal honesty and generous acceptance. That means acknowledging virtues, yes, but also flaws, fears, impulses you'd rather hide. When you know where you are strong, you can focus that power. When you know where you are weak, you can grow, shield, and evolve. More important, you stop twisting yourself to fit what others expect and finally begin to respect who you already are. Self-knowledge is not a destination. It is a daily road that demands vigilance and sincerity. It is the ongoing habit of reviewing attitudes, thoughts, and intentions, watching impulses with clarity, and asking, does this align with the person I want to become? If the answer is no, you adjust, not out of guilt but out of integrity. Becoming unshakable requires that you never abandon yourself. A person who knows their own depths does not buckle under criticism or rejection because they understand their worth. When that conviction burns from the inside, no outer storm can extinguish the flame of inner steadiness. Examine your memories, notice repeated patterns, confront the truths you avoid. Every moment of introspection is a mirror revealing both scars and the strength to heal them. Allow yourself that clarity, even if it stings briefly, because the pain of seeing is lighter than the weight of living blind. Part 2. Care for yourself with intention. Self-care is not vanity or luxury. It is the strategic foundation of every inner defense. A Stoic understands that body, mind, and emotion form one single bastion. If one wall gives way, the whole fort is exposed. That is why Epictetus reminds us, guard your body and your soul. for both are your temples. Conscious care begins with the obvious yet often ignored. Sleep enough, eat simply, move daily. A fatigued organism muddies the mind. Weak muscles leave courage limping. But Stoicism does not end with calories burned or sets completed. Inner safeguarding is even more decisive. Curating what you feed your eyes and ears is as critical as what you place on your plate. Toxic news, complaint-laden talk, and screens peddling comparison are subtle poisons. Seneca warned, "A mind dyed in dark colors paints the whole world gray." Choose enriching books, restoring silence, and friendships that aspire to excellence. There is also the emotional realm. Caring for yourself means admitting when something hurts and creating space to process pain rather than drown in it. The Stoic does not repress. He regulates. He breathes deeply, names the feeling, investigates the cause, and selects the response aligned with virtue. Crying, journaling, or seeking wise counsel become emotional hygiene as vital as a shower after intense training. Intentional self-care requires method. Reserve sacred moments each day to refuel the system, a stretch upon waking, 3 minutes of deep breathing between tasks, a walk at dusk when the sky changes color and you change tempo. Treat these micro-rituals as non-negotiable appointments. When the schedule tightens, resist cutting them. Eliminating your own support is sabotage disguised as efficiency. Caring for yourself with intention is not selfishness, it is preparation. It is the silent armor that lets you serve better, persist when the ground trembles, and keep your heart intact even on days of war. Strengthen the temple you inhabit. Only then will you remain standing when everything around you begs you to fall. Remember, whoever neglects self-care hands over their fortress to the first adverse wind. Part 3. Turn pain into inner power. Pain, a tiny word, a massive impact. It arrives unannounced, yanks us off familiar routes, scatters shards inside the chest. Yet Stoicism insists, suffering is not a sentence. It's raw material. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way, Marcus Aurelius wrote, distilling the alchemy that turns every blow into creative energy. Learn to work this crude metal and no setback escapes unharmed. Each wound becomes a tool. Begin by allowing discomfort to touch you. Fleeing only lengthens the sting. Facing it begins the cure. Describe the pain without drama. I lost my job. I was betrayed. I received a hard diagnosis. Naming drags the phantom out of the dark. Next, investigate what truly lies under your control. You can't revise the past, but you can choose the story you tell yourself from here on. In that gap between event and response lies all your power. Practice the Stoic premeditatio malorum, imagining potential losses before they arrive. It isn't pessimism, it's preventive strengthening. By rehearsing painful scenarios, you desensitize the shock and train solutions. When reality lands its punch, the mind recognizes the script, inhales deeply, and executes the plan. Pain foreseen doesn't paralyze, it propels. Turning pain into strength also demands purpose. Ask, how can this suffering polish my virtue? Lost someone you loved? Gained detachment and gratitude for what remains? Felt humiliated? Cultivate humility and firmness. Facing loneliness? Develop self-sufficiency and empathy for those who feel unseen. Each scar can hold the imprint of a new quality, if sealed with intention. Finally, share what you learn. Seneca reminded us that no one is wise for themselves alone. When you recount your passage through pain to someone still bleeding, you offer a map, not a sermon. Your testimony proves the crossing is possible and deepens your own conviction that the wound served a greater good. Pain never ends by decree, but it can change its face, from enemy to strict teacher who, after the lesson, hands you a diploma of courage. Whenever the world feels unbearably rough, recall this inner forge. From collision comes heat, from heat, malleable metal, and from that metal, the calm blade a Stoic uses to cut through chaos. Part 4. Know where others end and you begin. Before you rush to please or mediate, draw a line that only you can see. On one side lies everything that belongs to someone else. On the other, the duties that are yours alone. Stoics call that line a boundary, a fusion of self-discipline and justice. Without clear borders, you dissolve into other people's wishes and wake up resentful and exhausted. Marcus Aurelius warned, "The soul becomes a stranger to itself when it lets outside opinions steer it." Guarding your boundary is guarding your soul. Setting boundaries starts with naming your non-negotiables: time, energy, privacy, ethical principles. Write them down and feel their weight. Then notice where they're being breached: the coworker who dumps complaints, the relative who occupies every weekend, or you, accepting impossible deadlines to prove your worth. Each unconvincing yes pulls bricks from your emotional wall. It isn't the other person who breaks you. It's you lowering the drawbridge. Stoic boundary work demands calm, steady communication. Say, "I need quiet to focus," or "I'd rather not discuss that right now." No attacks, no long apologies. Clarity prevents guilt. If they push, repeat the line with unshakable kindness. Sustaining that no is a daily courage drill. Seneca reminded us, "Nothing is more honorable than protecting your own peace." Boundaries apply inside the mind too. How long do you let a critique squat in your head? How much space do worst-case scenarios rent? Epictetus taught that things don't disturb us. Our judgments do. When an intrusive thought appears, reinforce the border. That belongs to the outer world. Inside, I choose my response. This mental policing seals the cracks where anxiety slips in. With practice, the boundary stops feeling like a hostile wall and becomes a walled garden. What enters is chosen. What exits, intentional. You become the serene guardian of your vital space. Knowing where you end, you can offer genuine presence without fear of depletion, because self-care fuels real generosity. Defending your edges doesn't build selfish walls. It defines the contour where your best self can bloom. And, paradoxically, the firmer the contour, the freer life feels inside it. Part 5. Speak to yourself as an ally, not an enemy. The voice inside your head is a live stream commentary on life. It's there when the alarm rings, when a plan collapses, when victory finally comes. Depending on its tone, that voice can be a tailwind or an inner storm. Stoics call it the hegemonikon, the directing center that interprets events and chooses responses. If the interpreter is cruel, every error becomes a life sentence. If it's friendly, every stumble becomes a correction. Self-affirmation, then, is not self-deception, but command training. Note the automatic lines. "I'm a disaster. Nothing works. Nobody cares." Words tossed out unfiltered seep like acid and corrode courage. Seneca warned, "Speech shapes the soul." Ask yourself, would I tell a fragile friend the same? If not, why say it to me? Changing the dialogue starts with vigilance. Spot the insult. Pause. Breathe. Reframe. Swap "I failed again" for "I found what to adjust." You're not applauding incompetence. You're situating the fact in a broader process. Marcus Aurelius rewrote his beliefs each dawn on a campaign cot. Do likewise. List real strengths, quiet wins, traits friends praise. Read them aloud and feel the message settle into muscle. Next, plant statements that are specific, positive, and true. I persist. I solve problems creatively. My calm inspires others. Speak them to the mirror. Whisper them before sleep. In a few weeks, the inner track shifts from lament to encouragement. Add action to affirmation. Saying "I'm disciplined" while procrastinating breeds distrust. Keep one small promise and the word becomes flesh, reinforcing a virtuous loop. Epictetus urged, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." Each aligned deed carves the lesson deeper. Soon the accusing voice turns advisory. Critique stays honest, insult fades. When the world shouts you failed, your interior replies, "You are bigger than this moment." Breathe, reset, advance. Carrying that ally inside is like owning a lighthouse in dense fog, a guide that points true even when every outer instrument fails. Part 6. Have a compass. Don't wander in the dark. Picture yourself crossing a desert with no compass. Identical dunes, merciless sun, footsteps tracing useless circles. Now picture the same trek with a marked map and water stops. The effort is the same, yet your mind rests because it knows the way. That is the power of having a true north, the sixth Stoic truth that keeps you from wandering blind. For Stoics, planning is not the illusion of controlling the future. It is guiding the present with reason. Before each battle, Marcus Aurelius listed the virtues he wanted to embody that day. Epictetus taught students to foresee obstacles so frustration could be exchanged for preparation. Planning becomes spiritual strategy. It arranges resources and shrinks the anxiety of the unpredictable. Start by defining a purpose that can withstand strong winds, because flimsy goals snap early. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I intend to be? The answer generates coherent objectives: to serve, to create, to heal, to lead. Break the big aim into smaller milestones: quarter, week, today. Each step turns the huge into the tangible and feeds the brain visible progress. The practice of premeditatio malorum invites you to picture obstacles before they appear. It is not pessimism, it is preventive safety. List likely failures, criticism, drops in energy. Write countermeasures, time buffers, early conversations, recovery pauses. When the stone shows up, you run the protocol instead of panicking. Planning needs scheduled time. Spend 10 minutes every day reviewing progress and deleting tasks that do not serve the purpose. This fine-tuning stops outside noise from hijacking your course. If illness, loss, or crisis shatters the calendar, the Stoic adjusts without losing the north, because living by virtue is the destination, not the agenda. Do not confuse a roadmap with rigidity. A plan is a sail, not an anchor. It catches favorable winds and shifts angle when they change. The inner compass points to wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. The exact route may twist. Flexibility prevents frustration and sustains long-term enthusiasm. Each night, thank the ground you covered, rewrite the next stretch, and sleep knowing your mind holds clear orders for dawn. Whoever wakes with clarity begins the day already in motion, and whoever moves with intention crosses deserts that once seemed endless. Having a compass is more than productivity. It's armor against the drift that steals entire years. Part 7. Be your own foundation. Before you build walls against the wind, raise pillars inside yourself. Stoic self-reliance is not isolation. It is the ability to remain upright without leaning on someone else's approval, mood, or money. Picture a ship on open water. If the hull is solid, it welcomes a tugboat when one appears, yet it will not sink if help arrives late. When you become your own foundation, assistance turns from necessity into choice. Begin by trimming external demands. Ask, how much of my peace depends on likes, praise, or status? Each dependency is a rope others can tug. Seneca advised living so material losses cause discomfort, not collapse. Try simple dinners where you once demanded luxury. Spend a weekend offline while the feed keeps spinning. Every voluntary renunciation strengthens the invisible muscles of independence. Develop practical skills: cooking, budgeting, mending small defects at home. They erase the helplessness that makes people tolerate toxic ties in exchange for rescue. At the same time, train emotional skills: self-observation, conscious breathing, short meditations. When the mind learns to quiet itself, it carries a portable shelter through storms of opinion. Self-reliance does not dismiss community, it purifies it. Those who do not drain anyone's energy can offer clean energy instead. A friend who stands without emotional crutches becomes a safe harbor, not dead weight. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best help I can give is to remain virtuous." By holding your own balance, you offer a silent example. Insert micro-challenges of autonomy into each day. Plan a route without GPS, exercise without a gym, solve a problem before asking for advice. The brain logs every victory and updates your self-image. Add amor fati, embracing that circumstances change and staying whole regardless. One who trusts personal adaptability does not panic when the scenery flips. Celebrate self-reliance without arrogance. Moments will come to ask for aid, yet seek it out of clarity, not desperation. Freedom is not refusing extended hands. It is the power to say yes or no without fear of collapse. When the root is firm, strong winds only test the tree. Be that trunk, flexible in the canopy, unbreakable at the base. Part 8. See the victory before it happens. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture yourself crossing a finish line that now feels far. The steady voice, the project done, the relationship mended. Sense the lightness in your shoulders, lungs full, that quiet spark of pride igniting the instant the impossible turns to memory. Open your eyes. Nothing outside changed, yet something inside already has. This is the power of Stoic visualization, rehearsing the victory still ahead, so that when it arrives, body and soul greet it as an old friend. Stoics relied on two mental drills. One was premeditatio malorum, prepping for pain. The other, less sighted, was previewing excellence. Marcus Aurelius pictured the calm ruler before rebels. Epictetus, the patient teacher before hostile pupils. Seneca, serenity outlasting court intrigues. These scenes weren't escape but posture practice. When reality struck, the mind followed a script repeated many times. Apply it today. Choose a goal that serves virtue rather than ego alone. Visualize with detail. Air temperature, ambient sounds, people's faces. The outer result matters less than the inner state. See yourself calm, just courageous while acting. Hold that image for 3 deep breaths each morning before challenges. Modern science confirms the brain reacts nearly the same to vivid thought and real event. Both carve neural paths. Repeat positive images to build an emotional shortcut to confidence. As athletes mentally rehearse the jump, Stoics rehearse virtue, trading panic for presence. Yet visualization never replaces labor. It clears the fog of I can't, but still demands concrete steps. After the mental scene, choose one small action, an email, 15 study minutes, an overdue apology. Each deed locks a tile from the morning picture, inching the mosaic toward completion. Treat this ritual as torch, not talisman. It lights the path. You must walk it. And when you finally live what you once projected, you'll see the outer triumph merely confirms a truth forged long before, on the silent stage of a mind disciplined at dawn. Keep practicing daily. Part 9. Live in harmony with all your parts. Balance is not slicing life into equal pieces. It is conducting notes so they form a single chord, even when some play louder than others. Picture a boat on open sea. Overload one side and it lists, and under strong wind it can capsize. The same happens when work, family, health, or spirituality devours every inch of space. The 9th Stoic truth teaches that staying unshakable means redistributing weight before the soul's vessel loses its center of gravity. Marcus Aurelius ruled amid wars, yet guarded dawns for writing and evenings for family. Epictetus, a humble teacher, alternated classes, reflective silence, and household chores. Both knew no single domain guarantees peace. Serenity is born from their conversation. Map your week like a cartographer. Which territories dominate? Which lie barren? If screen hours swallow sleep, meetings erase exercise, or caring for loved ones drops to the footer, your boat is already tilting. The antidote is conscious prioritization. Establish a value hierarchy beforehand: physical health, mental clarity, loving bonds, contribution, and rest. Then install non-negotiable blocks: a quick workout, a phone-free meal, reflective reading, present conversation, 15 minutes of cost-free leisure. These blocks act as distributed ballast, stopping any operational storm from tipping everything to one side. Remember the body. Water, stretching, and natural light work as invisible counterweights that keep the mind alert. Balance also lives in intervals. Between tasks, take micro-pauses. Between long goals, celebrate victories before locking onto new demands. Ignore cycles of tension and release, and stress will erupt as illness or cynicism. Seneca warned, "Nothing, even pleasure, remains pleasant when it exceeds its measure." Except that the scale rarely rests. Seasons of childbirth, grief, or urgent projects do arrive. In those times, choose planned imbalance over accidental chaos. Then compensate later, like a sailor who shifts cargo after each wave. Balance is no static point. It is a continuous dance of adjustments that keep the hull upright. Whoever masters this choreography sails vast distances without listing, even when the sea decides to test every plank on deck. Part 10. Choose to be your greatest support. Self-love is neither narcissism nor indulgence. It is the clear conviction that you deserve the same care you give the people you cherish most. Without an inner root, no tree survives a gale. Picture a house standing on scaffolding. It looks steady, yet a single bar removed can bring everything down. If your peace lives only on praise or company, you are perched on someone else's beams. To become unshakable, you must shift the weight inward. Choose to be your own firm support. Begin by auditing the story you tell yourself when you fail. Do you curse or coach yourself? Epictetus warned that no blow hurts deeper than the insult delivered from within. Trade. I'm useless for, I'm still learning. Self-love does not soften responsibility. It creates fertile ground where responsibility thrives. Like a gardener who prunes without ripping out roots, criticize the act, preserve the person. Practice concrete self-compassion. Write a letter to yourself on heavy days. Savor a silent coffee. Read at dawn. Walk without headphones. Each ritual whispers, "You matter." Daily repetition crystallizes that message until it becomes an unshakable truth. Set limits out of respect, not anger. Saying no to someone who drains your energy is saying yes to balance. Marcus Aurelius noted, "Guard your mind. It is your temple. When the world demands attention, first consult your inner signal. If it flashes exhaustion, protect yourself. A conscious retreat now prevents collapse later." Cultivate inward-facing gratitude. Thank the courage that gets you out of bed on grim mornings, the heart that kept beating through every storm. Recognizing your own effort dissolves the idea that you deserve less than others. Mature self-love raises no pedestal. It lays a foundation where everyone can stand tall, starting with you. Accept that you will stumble again. Permanent perfection does not exist. What changes is the response. Replace the whip with a clear gaze and a step toward improvement. Those who love themselves turn slips into steps. When inner respect hardens, outside criticism loses its edge. You have nothing to prove. Live so your worth shines on its own. Reinforce the habit by noting 2 small wins each night: a finished task, a restrained impulse, a kind word. This nightly inventory retrains the brain, exchanging self-scorn for fair recognition and lulling you to sleep with a sense of progress. On waking, reread the list to remember you rise carrying a record of perseverance. With that shelter in your chest, no storm outside can drive you out of yourself. Have you noticed that even after you've built this inner fortress, there's still one frontier where the mind wavers, waiting without restlessness? The real test of your steadiness isn't when everything moves fast, but when life asks for silence, pause, and faith in the right timing. In the next leg of our Stoic journey, we'll uncover how to turn every second of waiting into creative fuel, and why mastering this state is the final step to making your strength truly unbreakable. If this video sparked something inside you, help the channel grow. Hit like, share with someone who needs this message, and ring the bell so you won't miss the upcoming episode on transforming waiting into power. Until then, practice the serenity you've already earned, and I'll see you soon.